Welcome to the RSVP Northern Virginia podcast, where each week we'll take a look at some of the outstanding volunteer opportunities available to seniors in our area. I'm your host, Rob Paine, an outreach assistant with RSVP. Hello, welcome to another RSVP podcast. This is Rob Paine, and today I'm with Janet Garber, an RSVP who's been an RSVP volunteer for 5 years. Janet, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thanks for joining us. Could you sort of recall how you first got involved with RSVP Northern Virginia?
I retired back in 2009, and I was looking for ways to volunteer. I had just retired from a job that was pretty intense, didn't have any of my own spare time, or that's the way it felt. So I was looking for opportunities to volunteer, and trying to find them on my own was becoming difficult. And I heard about RSVP, about talking to people about what their specific skills were, what their desires were, and matching them up with volunteer opportunities that were out there. So I jumped on that.
That's great. Do you remember what your first couple of volunteer experiences or what type of volunteer work you did with RSVP in the beginning?
One of the first things I did was a rebuilding project where I'd like to do a lot of woodworking. I used to do some furniture building. And this was more in the carpentry business, working in houses, but at least I knew how to use the tools. So I went and helped out on a few projects. They were individual projects, one-day efforts, but it was a lot of fun, very rewarding, and I learned quite a bit from the people that I was working with at those times too.
That sounds fantastic. Now, in addition to volunteering, you lead a very active lifestyle. Do you mind sharing us with what your age is?
I will be 65 years old in 9 days.
Okay. Well, early happy birthday.
Thank you.
We're recording this on October 10th, so October 7th, October 20th.
19th. 19th. Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What are some of the benefits of volunteering, especially as a senior?
A lot of the volunteer work I have done has been working with seniors by choice, and it is so rewarding to help people that are really my peers. I'm helping them in areas that perhaps they don't have the skills that I do. They have different skills, but the appreciation from their side and the gratification from my side that I'm able to help somebody else is just amazing. I do the volunteer work because of how good it makes me feel.
That's exciting. Mm-hmm. And some of the other things you've mentioned, we talked before this interview, that you have done some work out at Vincent Hall. You volunteered there, which is one of our workstations,
right,
where we send volunteers. You just did a lot of work, you're on the committee for the Northern Virginia Senior Olympics, which is where we are today at Wakefield Park. They just had a meeting. And tell me a little bit about that. And how long have you been involved with the Senior Olympics?
Ooh, I bet that Senior Olympics has been about 7 years now. Okay. I didn't even know the Senior Olympics existed, but I saw an announcement that they were looking for volunteers. So the first year I volunteered with them, all I did is sit and hold a stopwatch and time swimmers in the pool. What was interesting is I was a swimmer. I still am a swimmer as well. And I'm looking at these people going in the pool, and I'm doing a little math in my head, because swimming, when you're just watching, it doesn't look all that fast.
Right.
I'm sitting there doing the math going, oh my gosh, most of these people are 10, 15 years older than I am, and they are all faster swimmers than I am. It was very exciting to see the skill levels of those people.
It must have been. And I know this past year, the Olympics that just wrapped up a few weeks ago, you were keeping records and results for swimming, track and field, or track, and bocce and
horseshoes.
Anything else on that list?
Right. That's all I did this year. For 1 year, I was actually the chair of the committee as well, which is a tremendous amount of work. But
you were the chair of the whole
I was.
The whole kit and caboodle there. Oh, gee, that is a lot of work.
I was. But it gave me a great overview. I had touched into a number of events and took over the chairmanship and enjoyed that, but it is a lot of work, and I like what I'm doing better now, just specializing in a few of the different events.
That's fantastic. And do you normally, when you do volunteer events or volunteer activities, do you like doing more long-term things or one-day events, or long-term events like the Olympics where you're involved with it the entire year?
I definitely like the long-term events better. You get a greater sense of fellowship, not just with the people that you're on committees with, but the people that you're helping. You start to know them. One of the other things that I have done for several years now is work on helping prepare income tax for people of limited income. And it's been so long now, I start to see the same people coming back, and it's very exciting to sit with them and help them through their taxes.
That's fantastic. And that involves, no matter who, that involves some training also?
That involves considerable amount of training. We do have a lot of volunteers there that have done taxes as a career in the past. I did not. So for the first few years before I got more used to the tax code, you have to pass a test every year. And there's a considerable amount of training that goes with that. But it's nice at this point in my life to be challenged intellectually too. So I enjoy the training. I enjoy learning more about it. And then again, working with the people.
Is your background in numbers or math? It just seems like a lot of the stuff you do sort of deals with that.
I did. I worked for the federal government. I spent most of the time working with the Defense Department, and a lot of those years I worked in the budget and finance area, and some of it I worked in test and evaluation, all of which is involved in statistics.
Excellent, excellent. And for somebody who's sitting out there who's just retired or maybe just turned 55, because our minimum age is 55 at RSVP, what would you tell them if they're sort of thinking about following a career in volunteerism like you've done?
I would say RSVP is a great place to start. Unless you know exactly what volunteer opportunities are out there, and like I said, I didn't. RSVP does a fantastic job of collecting your skills, your desires, and trying to match them up. And you know what? If something doesn't work, they'll help you find something else to do as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for all your service and your volunteer work. You're very inspiring. Definitely, I've worked with Janet for the past 6 or 7 months on the Olympic Committee, and she's just an energizing bunny. So thank you again for your time and continued success in your volunteer. And you are going on a big trip soon, probably after this podcast airs, but to Antarctica?
No, to Galapagos. I'm going to Galapagos, right.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much, and we appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, and thank you for all RSVP does.
Well, thank you. Thank you again for joining us. And remember, RSVP Northern Virginia, matching great volunteers with great opportunities.